So it sounds like what your company's doing is what I recommend a lot of employers do, is you've got to become that employer of choice. Here's why you have to become the employer of choice. The number one reason people quit a job is they don't like their boss, and they don't like who they work for. It's the number one reason. First reason companies have to shift and change. Second reason is, the number one source for your next great employee is, survey says, your current employees. So if you're driving your employees away, that's a problem. As you drive and they're bad-mouthing as you walk out the door, they're not going to invite their friends to come work with them. Biggest part of the problem. So what you have to do is you have to become an employer of choice. Part of becoming an employer of choice is figuring out what your core values are. The number one reason, it just came out this week, it was on Glassdoor. Number one reason somebody will choose to come work for a new company are their core values. So I often say to my employers, are you willing to hire and fire based upon your core values? Because if you're not, they're just aspirations. If you aren't going to make a decision, if you're not going to bring on somebody or let somebody go based upon how they conduct themselves and do they live up to what you put on the wall, it happens. It even happens at the CEO level. I got brought in by a VC firm. They bought this company, and they saw that the leadership team was having lots of turnover, and they heard through the grapevine that there was a problem with the CEO. Well, the CEO's number one core value that he had put on the wall was honesty and integrity. About 2 days with this guy, I found out, I met his wife and then I met his girlfriend, who didn't know each other. So there seemed to be a problem with honesty and integrity right there. And he was pushing out parts that he knew were defective to bump up his sales. That's why people were leaving. It was a core value break. So what they ended up doing is they ended up firing the CEO and replacing him with someone else. 3 of the leaders who left came back because the company, the VCs, the owners went back to believing in their core values. So you've got to have great core values. The other big piece, especially with millennials, is they want to know what your why is. Not that you just make gears, not that you just do heat treat, but why do you do it? And this all comes from Simon Sinek and the work he did, even the stuff he analyzed with Steve Jobs and Apple. Why do you do what you do? So in my business, Diversified Industrial Staffing, I was actually fortunate. I met Simon Sinek about 12 years ago, and I spent a year working with him, and he helped me figure it out for our business. It's 2 words. We improve lives. That's what we do. We improve lives of the candidates that we work with to help them get better jobs. We improve the lives of the manufacturing talent and the owners and the plant managers who get their work done. If we take care of the company and we take care of the candidate, we improve their lives, then we make money. If we think about making money first and then it's going to somehow improve their lives, it just doesn't work. It's the inverse pyramid. So I challenge a lot of my clients to figure out, what is your why? Why are you in business? The third thing is you've got to figure out what is in it for those employees. I know when you mentioned you were in the interview process. Did the person you were interviewing, did they talk about what they were looking for in your company? Yeah, that's how they're getting trained nowadays. They're going to come in and say, these are the things I want. It's funny, my son's an accountant, so he's not in manufacturing, but there's a massive need in accounting. There's I know with manufacturing, there's 600,000 open, unfilled manufacturing jobs every day. I think there's actually a greater demand for accounting. So my kid puts his resume out on Indeed, gets a bunch of interest, goes on these interviews, and he was very clear in what he wanted. This is how I want to work. I don't want to work 60 hours a week and only get paid for 40. And it is very clear. You got 3 offers and 3 interviews. He actually just starting his new job, I think a week from this upcoming Monday. So they're going to come in, they're going to ask for things, they're going to come in prepared. We as the employers have to understand where they're coming from. Ultimately, we have to figure out what is behind the psychology of work. Especially with millennials, they want a couple things. They want to be part of a team. They prefer to work in teams. They like working in cells. They also want to be included in the decision-making process. I get a lot of pushback from some of the older guys I talk with. Well, they're not going to be included. No, they want to be informed of why the decision's being made. Can they give input on that? But they recognize that they're not going to get the final say. They don't have enough tenure. It's not their business. But they still want to be included because then they can buy in to what changes are going to be made. So let's say you went through your pool of all your internal employees, hired all their friends and family, but you still need to add more people to your team. As recruiters, we call that the post and pray method, where we go to Indeed, we go to Glassdoor, we go to ZipRecruiter, and we start looking for people. Does anybody know the number one source for your next new employee that doesn't come from your internal staff? Perfect. Well, I actually happen to know the answer to that. Thank goodness I'm here. The number one source for your next employee is typically going to be LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great source for it, and I just watched this new one today. The manufacturer is looking for people. The CEO made a video and put it on his LinkedIn page. It got shared to the entire company. Employees were sharing it. He got over 3,000 views in less than 24 hours of his video looking for people. That's pretty powerful because 99% of his competitors are just posting an ad, are just putting word of mouth out there. This guy's taking it super seriously, and he sold these people on the benefits of working for his company, why they should consider working for them, and apply to him directly. It sends a message. It gets people engaged.